Okay, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to continue by looking at the sense of taste. Now we just got through looking at the sense of smell, and remember they are interconnected with the sense of taste. So a lot of these things you're going to see are very similar to what we have seen just a little while ago with the sense of smell. Okay? You remember that when we talk about eating stuff and putting stuff in our mouth, the number one thing that we use to detect the food that we eat are things called taste buds. They're the organs of taste. They help us pick up what something tastes like. And again, they are chemoreceptors. They're in the mouth, the pharynx, and primarily on the tongue. So they're even in the mouth and other places besides the tongue. Okay? So they're pretty much scattered throughout. But again, they're mostly in the tongue. Okay? Now, what does that look like? Well, here's your tongue. You can see, and you got your color diagram later that you need color too that does the same thing. If you lay and take a little high intensity look here, take a bigger section, you'll see that the tongue has these little things in them. These are called papillae, and again, on that color diagram it gives you three different kinds, okay? But we're just kind of basically looking at this is, all these papillae are right here, they're doing their job, but inside of some of these, like this one right here, you go down into this fold inside of it, these little dark areas right here, those are the taste buds. So what does the taste bud actually look like? So we're going to expand it, blow it up, and we're going to see right here that it's the same kind of thing. You've got a sensory nerve, right, that's going to be attached to it. But you've got a lot of epithelial tissue as well. See that? Epithelium's all over the place. You also have, right here, supporting cells. There's other cells in there besides that kind of help. These cells do their job. These little cells are called taste cells. Gustatory cells, which I'll get to in just a second. But this is, again, the basic setup. And if you notice, these little hairs, we're about to get to those as well. That is what they basically look like. Now, the receptors, again, are called gustatory cells, taste cells. Okay? They're the ones that are picking up, and they're epithelial tissue. But they've been modified so that they can pick up chemicals. So they have been modified into chemoreceptor cells. Okay? They have little hairs on them, little things that stick out, kind of like the cilia, these little hair things that stick out. They are the part that is actually sensitive to the chemicals. They're the chemoreceptive part. Okay? And they stick through the opening called taste pores, little holes. And again, all a pore is a little hole. Okay? So that's what they're doing here. And again, the taste cells have the taste hairs that protrude into the taste pores. Whew, a lot of repeating there, isn't it? But this is what we've got going on. Now again, I'm going to go back real quick and show you what I'm talking about. No, I'm not, apparently. Alright, there we go. Okay, so here's the taste cell, the gustatory cell. There's the taste hairs. And this little opening is a taste pore. This is where the food comes in, the chemicals come in, and then you touch these. They detect what chemical it is, send a signal here, goes into the nerve, and then you taste what you're eating. Okay? Now, again, just like with the nasal cavity, the chemicals have to be dissolved in fluid in order for the tongue to taste them. That's where saliva comes in. That's one of the main reasons. Not the only reason, but that's one of the main reasons we produce saliva. It's to moisten our food. It also helps to digest. Saliva's got a material called amylase in it, which is a chemical that breaks down sugars. Okay? But if you don't get those chemicals dissolved in water, it's not very well to be tasted. And you've probably done this before. You probably had a dry tongue, and you tried to eat something like a cracker or something, and it was dry too, and it tastes like cardboard. But the moment you grab a soda or water or milk or whatever and put a little in that, oh, I can taste it. Just a little bit, or a lot better than what I could before. Okay? So we've got to have these chemicals be dissolved in water in order for these chemoreceptors to pick them up. Now, just like with the sense of smell, taste is not overtly well understood. Okay? We know that there are membrane protein receptors there, and they bind to specific foods. And again, this is the same reason why some foods taste great to some folks, and to others it's bleh, right? Some of y'all may not like things like Brussels sprouts. You may not like fish. If you're like me, you don't like onions. They're gross tasting. But I know a lot of people that can take an onion and chew on it right now and be like, boy. But again, that's due to these taste receptors, those chemoreceptors picking up those chemicals and telling the brain what it is, and the brain, again, determining what tastes good or what tastes bad. Okay? So, right now there are actually 4, but they're going to say there's 5 now. We're going to mention the first 4, then I'm going to tell you the 5th one. Okay? But again, it's still kind of playing with that one a little bit more. But as far as the types of taste that we have, there's 4 basic ones, and you know these. These aren't not brain boiling, oh my gosh, hard. Okay? And again, the thing with the tongue is different parts of the tongue. If you've already seen, if you already started that color diagram, different parts of the tongue pick up different signals. Okay? So different parts of the tongue will be tasting one thing more than it tastes another. Now they can kind of all taste all of them, but you know they're more concentrated in certain areas. Okay? Say for example, the tip of your tongue, right here. You have more sweet receptors right here on the tip of your tongue than you do in the rest of your mouth and the rest of your tongue. So when you want to taste something sweet, it's usually with that tip of that tongue where you really get that first sweet flavor. Okay? So sweet receptors are pretty much there on the tip of the tongue. Now, sour receptors. Sour receptors are more along the edges of the tongue. Now think about this for a minute. If you got sour receptors, think about any time you've ever eaten anything that was real sour. You get it right there. And you go, oh, you feel it right in here too, don't you? Well, right up under here and here are salivary glands. You have those salivary glands right there, and they actually have a little opening on either side right up on the tongue that can produce a lot of saliva quickly. Now, why do you want to produce a lot of saliva when you have something that's sour? Well, sour is acidic, and acidic can cause damage. If you've ever eaten a lot of sour stuff for a long period of time, you know because your tongue hurts, doesn't it? Well, we produce a lot of saliva there. Well, that's the easiest way for them to detect it. It's detected on the sides of your tongue, and then it instantly initiates those salivary glands to start pumping out saliva to help bring down, or bring back up, excuse me, that pH level, to get rid of the acid. Okay? Then you've got salty receptors. They're pretty much on the tip, but also the upper portion, okay? The mid part of your tongue. Okay? That's where they'll primarily be. Bitter, oh. If you guys have ever been eating pecans, and you crush and shell your own pecans, and you actually got a little piece of that wood material that's between the pecan pieces, right? Or baking soda, that's real bitter, and you'll feel that at the back of your throat, won't you? Because that's going to be basically at the back of the tongue where you taste bitter things, okay? But they're going to be at the back side of the tongue, okay? Now, the other one has a name, and where they found it on the tongue, I'm not overtly sure. But if you'll remember the word umami, and I didn't make up that name, I'm just telling you what it's called. It's called umami. It's a spicy, meaty flavor, I guess is the word that you could use to describe it. It's kind of a spicy / meaty taste to it, okay? Now, where is it specifically located on the tongue? Either they haven't figured it out yet, or I haven't been told anytime soon, or I haven't found it yet. But that's another one that they come up with. Of course, the first 4 are easy: sweet, sour, bitter, and salty. You know, easy. And then all of a sudden, you get umami. But whatever. Okay. Now, again, here's the thing though: taste buds aren't just responsive to one taste. A lot of times they pick up 2 things. But again, one of them is likely to dominate. What that basically means is something may be able to taste salty and sweet, but it may pick up sweet more than salty, or vice versa, okay? So they can pick up more than one flavor or more than one taste type, but they tend to dominate with one or the other. And just like with the sense of smell, rapid adaptation occurs. Think about this for a minute. The first bite of, if you've been looking forward to some food, some specific food, all day because your mom or you're cooking on the grill or something, and you wait and you know that, it's like, oh, that's good stuff. That first bite tastes awesome, doesn't it? But that 10th or 15th or 20th bite doesn't taste as good as that very first bite, does it? Because again, the brain is kind of going, okay, been there, done that. Still good, but it's not whoo good. You see what I'm saying? Okay, so again, that's basically it for the sense of taste. Super duper easy peasy, right? And again, with that tongue, please be careful with that tongue diagram, because if you don't do the tongue diagram right, you're going to start to mess up some stuff as far as where those materials are located. Just ask me. Send me an email, send me whatever. I don't care. Just make sure that you let me know if you're having trouble with some of it, okay? All right, these should be up in the next 30, 45 minutes, these videos, okay?